Hi guys, Abigail here from She Talks Cars, and today we're going to be talking about leasing. You've heard about leasing, but what is it? What actually is leasing? Does it save you any actual money? You've heard Bob at work talking about it, rabbiting on, but don't really quite know what Bob's on about, and I don't think Bob does either. But luckily I do. So if you are looking at potentially leasing, you want to know what it is, what it entails, how to lease, then this is the right video for you. Stay tuned, and by the end of it, you're going to know if it's for you and what the actual hell it is. So what is leasing? Well, leasing is like renting. It's called personal contract hire, and it's the perfect way that you can have a brand new car every few years without ever owning it or having that large financial commitment. It's amazing as leasing, but it's not for everybody. Leasing is like other finance agreements. It's viewed as a type of finance, even though you're not financing the full amount for the car because you're never going to own it. However, you still do need to have good credit and be able to pass the affordability and credit check to be able to get the lease deal. So that's one thing to bear in mind. It's still a credit agreement. So how do you actually buy a lease car? So I would always recommend going online, looking for comparison websites which will search deals from loads of different brokers to find you the cheapest deal. It's a lot of a different process than buying a car traditionally, where you go to the dealership and test drive and blah blah blah. I definitely recommend going to test drive the cars that you're interested in at the dealership and then finding it online and finding a lease deal, because you know, once you've got the car, you've kind of got the car. There will be a cooling off period, but there may be kind of a financial repercussion if you choose to give the car back. How it works is the car that you're ordering is either in stock, obviously brand new, or it's going to be a factory order. I will say at the minute there's a massive delay on cars at factories, so if you really need a car like right now and you're not so bothered about what you're going to get but want to lease it, I'd have a look at in-stock options on lease car websites, because factory order is taking some time and it's literally ordered from factory for you. So just something to bear in mind. How it works is they will get somebody to come and deliver the car to you, obviously stay in touch with you via email to let you know when it's coming, and then they'll obviously get a driver to come and drive it up to you and leave it there with you. You sign a little bit of paperwork and then off you go. They always ask that you insure it kind of before they get there, and also I would personally make sure that you have a look online at how to use the car and things like that, because I've never had somebody come and drop my lease cars off and say, oh yeah, you use it like this, you use it like that, and use it like that. It's kind of just, here you go, see you later. You don't get that kind of handover service that you get with a main dealer. So yeah, that's something to be aware of. Now, how do you know how much it's going to cost you? What factors do they use to tell you how much the lease deal is going to cost you? Well, most leasing websites have got really handy categories at the side. I'm pointing to the side of the page because on my laptop this is where they'd be. But basically, when you search the criteria, like with anything else, they're looking for mileage, how many miles per year you're going to do, how much money do you want to put down. They call it initial rental, but it works like a deposit. And also they want to know what the term is. Now, I would always recommend keeping the car that you want on lease for the life of the warranty. The whole benefit, in my opinion, and many other people's opinions, of leasing is getting a brand new car. You're getting it in warranty. You don't have to pay MOT, because MOT is every 3 years, and you know most cars have got a 3-year warranty. But also you're getting a car that's super reliable, and most of the time, and you're paying that lease money for that kind of convenience. So just look at those things, and they're the kind of variables. My advice is don't put the mileage down to something super low that's really unachievable for you, because they will actually charge you an excess mileage fee, which is X amount of pence. It depends on the deal. Go too high over what it is that you're wanting to do per year. So for example, if you usually do 8,000 miles per year, don't put 10,000 miles a year just to kind of be on the safe side, because it's going to end up costing you more money. It's much better to just put a realistic figure of what you think that you may do. That's my advice. Also, one thing that I will say, putting money down is not like it would be in the finance deal. So you don't actually have to. There's some that do zero deposit down, but I'd always try to pay a month to 3 months. Ideally, as little as possible, because the deal isn't going to change. It's still the same amount of money for the lease that you're going to pay. Very good, actually, some of these lease car sites. They make it look like it's really cheap. Oh, you can get a Range Rover Sport for this amount per month. But then when you look at how much you need to put down, it's £5 grand. That £5 grand's better sat in your bank for a rainy day, and then you just pay a little bit more every month, because at the end of the day, well, the lease deal is the same amount for the for the time that you've got it. So what's the point paying all that money out? It's not like it kind of, I don't know, it comes off the cost of the car, but it doesn't bring it down that much, and the cost is the same. So to get a lease, they still do credit check you just like they would for any other type of finance, because obviously you still need to be able to afford the monthly payments, sure that it's something that's within your means. I'd always say that, it's a commitment, just like any other type of finance. I don't want to glamorise lease too much, because it's still a type of finance. It's still going to go on your credit rating. If you don't pay it, you're still going to get in trouble. It's really not for everybody, but I think it's a really good way to be able to get a new car that's in warranty, doesn't need MOT. Road tax, by the way, is also included. Which is great if you've got a car that's quite thirsty with a big engine, and emits a lot of emissions. And so yeah, that's a great thing as well. Some people have asked, can you get servicing and maintenance and things like that on the lease deal? Yes, you can, but it's an add-on, so it can cost you £20 more or less a month depending on which car it is. But I'd highly recommend you to add that cost up and see if that actually makes financial sense for you to do. So obviously it's going to cost you X amount a month, but think about how many services you're going to need in that time that you've got the car, and also find out how much tyre replacement would be. That's usually the maintenance package, is servicing and tyres and things like that, like the perishable kind of stuff. It's not like, you've just absolutely burnt the clutch out, they're going to replace that. No. So I just bear that in mind. Just add the costs up. Ring the dealers, because they often stipulate that you need to go to main dealers to get the servicing done. They will have a certain criteria from the lease company of how they want the car to be maintained. Really important. Kind of a bit of a hidden cost when it comes to leasing, because people don't really think about that. They just get a bit giddy about getting a new car, which is fine. Get as giddy as you want, but just think about these things as well. Like, there are a few little hidden costs. So it all sounds really good, doesn't it, leasing? It's a dream. New car every few years, amazing. Amazing! Well, it is, because I do it, but there are a few little other things that I think is really important to bear in mind. At the end of your lease, somebody will come to collect your car, which obviously they will book in with you, but somebody will come to inspect the car, and this person is usually from a company called BCA, British Car Auctions, which is where all these cars go to die. Okay, they just go to be auctioned off. That's what they do. Basically, they'll come and have a look at your car, and they will assess the damage, things like scrapes, alloy scuffs, any other cosmetic damage. They will go through the car and they will score it against what is called the fair wear and tear kind of policy. This is set by the BVRLA, and I've popped a link in the description so that you can see the fair wear and tear guidelines. You also usually get a copy of those with your lease. I would say just have a look at that, because it can be quite costly. If you've got a lot of cosmetic damage that's out of the remit of fair wear and tear, you've got to pay for that, and they will charge you for it. An option is to kind of get cosmetic damage like respraying or alloy repairs before you give the car back, but I will say with that, be careful, because I have known people to get the repairs done and then they didn't find the repairs to be adequate enough. Like, the paint or the parts or some of the cosmetic work that they've done, they didn't find it up to par, so then they charged them for it because they had to do it, and obviously you don't really want to be stuck paying twice. So I would highly recommend just looking at all the different potential things that can happen, and all the different hidden not so great costs. Look at servicing, look at tyres, what will that cost? Look at things like your insurance. Obviously insurance isn't included. If you go for a car subscription, then that may be included, but traditional lease, it isn't included. That's something that you have to pay for yourself. So just make sure that you can afford the monthly payment for the lease, but also the payment, if you pay per month or per year, for your insurance. I hope that helps, and I hope you now understand a little bit more about leasing and can understand whether or not you think it's right for you. It isn't for everybody. Personally, I like to lease because it saves me money. A car that I'd have driven off the forecourt lost thousands. My lease is usually less than the depreciation of that car in the time that I have it. but it's not for everybody. You know, I still believe in buying used cars. I still believe in, you know, sometimes PCP being an option. It's just when it comes to brand new cars, you lose so much money. And if you're bothered about that, leasing is a great alternative. If you would like any more information on leasing, if you've got any questions, if there's something you don't quite understand, please ask in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, please just ask. You'll also find useful information in the description box.